Welcome to Mack's Food Studio. My name is Carey and I am owner-operator of Tailored Table Personal Chef Service. And today I am going to demonstrate and teach you how to cook the perfect, juicy, moist pork chop. What I've done ahead of time here, and you can see into this pan here, I've got two nice, rather thickly cut pork chops, and they're in a brine. Now the brine consists of a number of things, but we're going to start with the basis being water, salt, brown sugar, and then after that it can get kind of whatever you got in the refrigerator. You can do orange slices, you can do lemon, you can do some fresh herbs if you got fresh herbs that you don't want to throw away. You could do a little vinegar if you wanted to. The idea with the brine is that it's going to help make these pork chops nice and juicy and tender throughout this whole cooking process. The length on the brine can be anywhere from 3 to 4 hours is plenty of time, but if you want to do this overnight in your refrigerator, that's what I'd recommend, and they'll come out perfectly ready for the saute pan. So now we're going to lift the chops out of the brine and make sure you try to get most of that liquid off of there. We want a dry pork chop. And set the brine aside here, and now we're going to season these chops really just with salt and pepper. Get a nice coating and crust of both salt and pepper onto these chops. Don't worry about over seasoning them. Pork can handle a lot of salt and pepper. These are now ready for the pan. You want to take a little olive oil. I would recommend using olive oil in this case. It's going to give you the most flavor when we're sauteing these chops. Your oil down in there. And that oil is ready for the chops. I'm just going to swirl it a bit here. Yep, and it's smoking. And that's the smoking point where you are ready to lay the pork chops down in there. And you're going to hear these sizzle real nice. And always lay your pork chops down away from you so you're not splashing hot oil on your hand. That is never a good feeling. So you can see those chops are sauteing wonderfully in this hot oil. And nothing wrong with swirling these around a bit, making sure that that oil is covering all the surfaces of your pork chop. And what's going on here right now is we're putting a nice brown crust on the bottom of that pork chop. Yeah, and this one's looking really nice. A nice brown going on around the edges there. Yeah, wonderful. Get this other side. And we're really probably going to do this side a little less even. Because remember, we're going to take these right to the oven, and that side will continue to cook while it's in the oven. And in this case, considering the thickness of these pork chops, we're probably only going to leave them in the oven for about 5 minutes max. Because again, the goal is a nice, juicy, tender pork chop. All right, I'm ready for the oven, which I've preheated to 400 degrees. And just go ahead and slide them into the oven. Now that these pork chops have had a chance to rest, and I would say probably 2 or 3 minutes. If it's a little bit thicker of a pork chop, you want to give it a little longer rest time. What we're going to do now is make a little topping for these pork chops out of garlic confit, which is really garlic cloves that's been boiled in olive oil at a very low temperature, probably a good hour or so, and they'll come out with a little brown tint to them. But what that does is it softens that garlic up and really takes that bite out of the garlic, makes it really nice and smooth garlic flavor. So you want to take the garlic confit and then just give it a little chop here. It's going to be a little sticky for you, but chop it down you know, to a good mince like this. And you can see it'll just break down and more or less to a paste. And you can even take your knife and do one of these to mash it out a little bit. And that's looking wonderful. And the flavor in there is amazing. You're not a garlic lover. Once you try this, you'll change your mind. So I'm gonna go ahead and mix that confit with a little of this butter. And just gonna stir that around a bit, get it kind of incorporated together because it's gonna melt once I put it onto that chop. Now that we've got the butter and the confit, garlic confit mixed together into a nice paste, I'm gonna take like a tablespoon, put it right on top of that chop and it will melt. And to top it off, we're going to take some fresh herbs. I've got thyme here, just lay that right on top. And these chops are ready to be plated and served. Now that we're ready to plate these pork chops, I'd like to show you what one looks like here inside. Now these are nice and tender. All right, we have our braised oven cooked pork chop ready for the plate here, and it looks wonderfully juicy and tender and succulent. You want to put a little of those pan juices down in your plate when you're ready to eat. That is a wonderfully cooked pork chop. And don't be afraid to try these. They're easy, they won't be dried out, and I guarantee you this will be one meal your family will love. Thank you.